Today we're going to talk a little bit of OU football. Now that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on Step Mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I'm going to talk a little OU football, and I got on my Heber jersey because if you're an OG on this channel community, you understand that's really where I started to recognize what this was. And I'm going to tell folks who don't know about the Heber story because I think it's important, and I think it explains a lot about why we're here. So very, very early on, like 2-3 months into me being on YouTube, it was a small community of folks, and I was doing this off of my phone. And I started messing with live streams because I wanted to be able to interact with the community. And again, very small amount of folks. And I had friends now, like people I didn't know at the time, but people who have become friends show up. And some of them are Terry Begum, my goodness, Eric Fry, Doc Winston O'Boogie showed up to give me hell about the thing that we don't talk about. It's the flag. Because I used to have a flag behind me, that's an OU flag, had boxes in it, and I hadn't ironed it. So he would kind of give me noise about, so I guess we're running with boxes with the flag. So I took the flag down, I ironed the flag, but you know, I left the iron too long because Isaiah Spiller had committed to Oklahoma at the time. And then there's an iron mark on the flag, and I just hung the flag up because I was broke and I didn't have any more money to go get anything. And people started asking me about this brown stain on the flag. Like, yo, man, did you wipe with the flag? Like, what's going on? And it became a thing that we don't talk about because on the live stream, I was getting irritated. People kept bringing it up. But in one of these live streams, we had this really cool thing happen. So in a live stream, you can drop a super chat. I have since started giving that money to like charities, right? Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, and whatnot. So the RJ Young Show channel had a banner at the Owasso Family YMCA, and you know I'm not as loud about it as I probably should be, but you know I have a scholarship in my mom's name at the University of Tulsa that is for kiddos that went to North Tulsa high schools that want to go to the University of Tulsa. I want to help them. We want to help them. So that's where a lot of that goes. But like it started with someone being super kind to me because I didn't have anything. I was still in grad school. This was fun. This was my way of dealing with grief and depression. And it was nice to be able to talk about my team with other people who like my team. And it became something else after that. But at the time, it was like December. And a lady showed up in the super chat with like $500 and $300 and said, hey, my husband really loves your channel. He has Parkinson's. Please don't stop. And that was when I started going to every day. And she told us in the chat that his name is Heber. And, you know, I got his jersey made because, like, it's a star. It's a guide. Just like I read Jim's note last Friday. And I've had so many of those folks continue to keep up with me and become friends with me. So I always have them in my mind. And one of those folks is a fellow named Johnny. Johnny, I'm going to put you on the spot right quick. He reached out to me because he had a tremendous tragedy in his life. He lost his baby girl. And he reached out to me and he asked, hey, RJ, can you talk about OU football tonight? Because I really need something to be happy about. And, goodness me. You always want to do something for the people that you know or even know through the internet who have done something for you. You can't wait to help them. And for him to just ask for me to talk about Oklahoma football felt like, yes, something I could do, but also just what else can I do? And so I decided I was going to sit down and I was going to do this. We were going to do this, okay? Because this community has been so cool for me. Anytime I can give something to it, I'm gonna. So think Oklahoma's going to win the national championship in 2021. I've been loud about it for a couple of years now. And with the 2019 class coming in, that was the one in which I was like, oh, okay, Riley's going to have this together because he got the number one quarterback in 2019 in Spencer Rattler, and he had surrounded him with absolute monsters at the skill positions. Austin Stogner was a guy that he called another 5-star for them. Very high-ranked 4-star tight end. Jaden Hazelwood joining up in that class. Trajan Bridges is in that class. Theo Weiss is in that class. You had other dudes showing up like Marcus Majors, and you had really great defensive players that were starting to come in. Like Woody Washington is going to come into his own. Nick Bonito is the top returning defensive lineman, not just edge rusher, defensive lineman according to Pro Football Focus. Deshaun White is basically a Curtis Lofton clone. David Ugwebu has been brilliant. He was the first commit to Alex Grinch ever, and he went from a long edge guy to an inside guy doing outstanding work. Delarian Turner, trouble. Trouble comes downhill just to hurt people. Like, he loves flying in there and killing people. Great, strong safety. You had Pat Fields really trying to figure it out at free safety. He might get challenged at that spot this year by Bryson Washington, but that's kind of the point. You can go 22 now. You have a Rattler who has had experience, albeit 2020 and in a pandemic, but he's demonstrated enough to be a favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. And in football, if you got a quarterback, you got a chance. If you got a great quarterback, you can win a national championship. And this is the first time that I believe the window has been open for Oklahoma since 2017. Make it to the Rose Bowl, goes into double overtime after you're up 17 points in a squib kick. But that was the best team that Oklahoma had fielded since the 2018, right? And I think Riley has been building toward that for the last 3 years. I think it's another reason why Riley is not even entertained taking NFL jobs, because he wants a national championship. He knows he was this close. And when I look at the guys returning, it's like, yeah, you lose Ramondre Stevenson, you lose Ronnie Perkins to the NFL draft at early entrance, but my goodness, man, Marcus Stripling, I love Marcus Stripling. I've loved Marcus Stripling since the opening in 2018 when he was just flying off the edge. He's got tremendous get off. Isaiah Thomas, who is from my hometown, went to my high school, is coming into his own. Like, Alex Grinch thought he should have been Big 12 Player of the Year. Didn't go to him. I mean, Iowa State, Mike Rose, my goodness, Mike Rose out there with like 4 interceptions and like 96 tackles. It's hard to get past that, especially as Iowa State was playing the best football of anybody not named Oklahoma up until Oklahoma beat them in the Big 12. But it's also because Alabama's in a reload year, because they don't really rebuild, because they don't have to rebuild. But you're going to have Bryce Young breaking in with Bill O'Brien. You got a chance there. I think Georgia ought to be against Oklahoma in that national championship game with JT Daniels taking over that spot, returning. You get George Pickens, you get Dominique Blaylock back, which is going to be huge for them to go along with Jermaine Burton and Kearis Jackson. And you got all of those tailbacks for them, right? But what I think is also inspiring about what Oklahoma can do in 2021 is the defense is there to win a national championship. The defense wasn't there in 2017, and they still could have won a national championship because that was the matchup for Bama that year. All right? Like, they were that good. Despite it all, with a true freshman at Kenneth Murray at middle linebacker, they still could have challenged for it. Now you're talking about a defense that finished number 15 in SP Plus in 2020, returning a bunch of talent and adding even more to it. Key Lawrence. You got that dude at safety. Eric Gray at tailback. You know what I mean? Wanye Morris on offensive line. Go along with Chris Murray, who transferred into UCLA. You got Marquise Hayes coming back. You lose Adrian Ely, but again, Wanye Morris over there. Andrew Rame has an opportunity to come in, maybe take over that center spot that was left vacant by Creed Humphrey. If not him, you got dudes. Anton Harrison was also out in that. Bro, you got monsters. And this is the year because also the schedule just bears out for you. Like, Nebraska ain't the Nebraska that it was 20 years ago. Nebraska is in such a hole that the 2 top recruits in the city of Omaha don't even entertain going to Nebraska. Yeah, Nebraska, they got some things to worry about. But that's about it in as far as your non-con. So then it's about making it past Kansas State, who seems to be getting up the last couple of years just to get Oklahoma. Like, You got to beat Kansas State. You got to get past Iowa State. We'll see what Sark can do with Texas. Texas Tech is going to have a quarterback, Tyler Shuck or Baron Morton, depending on who it is. But you should be able to run the table. But that's never been the thing for Oklahoma. For Oklahoma, it's about getting in the college football playoff and winning a game, right? So, let's assume that Oklahoma gets in that 3 or 4 spot, right? Heaven forbid they get to the 1 spot, but 3 or 4 spot. Who are the other teams that could be there? I mentioned Georgia. Clemson could be there because who is the ACC? Sam Howell is good, but he lost nearly everybody off that North Carolina team that was good last year. DJ Uiagalelei might get Justin Ross back, but if he doesn't, it's still Clemson. They ought to be there, right? So that's one of those teams. The SEC champ, I thought was going to be Georgia, but you could also see an SEC runner-up getting there. But if Oregon manages to run the table, especially if they're able to beat an Ohio State, they'll be there. But if Ohio State beats Oregon, they run the table, they'll be there. So today, I feel comfortable, right, with Oklahoma, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State. I could easily see Ohio State and Oregon switching that out, right? But I do believe that the most talented football team in the country ought to be Georgia, and the team that might be the most talented and veteran ought to be Oklahoma. And knowing that you were able to retain so much of that staff that has been so good for you is also tremendous for Riley. Didn't lose the defensive coordinator to a job. You lose Shane Beamer to a head coaching job, but that's okay. Offensive assistant, special teams coach, you're able to replace that. Holding on to Dennis Simmons, who was flirting with Texas for a little bit. Also huge. Cale Gundy seems like he's going to retire at Oklahoma after being a quarterback there and then basically being an assistant for the past 22 years or so. Man, that's righteous. Bill Bedenbaugh still your offensive line coach. Calvin Thibodeau is doing a job. Jamar Cain out there doing a job, right? Roy Manning doing a job. And you've been able to put together another outstanding recruiting class in the 21 cycle with a Caleb Williams, who was a capable backup, even as a true freshman, to Spencer Rattler if something would happen. For the first time in years, we all feel good about what Oklahoma could be and how good they're going to be. That is the reason why I believe Oklahoma is going to contend for a national title in 2021, and this is the year for them to do it. You're probably going to hear me say this a lot over the next year at Fox Sports, on this channel, anywhere I'm asked about it. I believe Oklahoma ought to win, could win, should win the national championship in 2021. We love you, Johnny. We'll be here. All you got to do is ask, brother.